We bought a new vacuum to represent 2020 because 2020 sucks.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel.
Hello!
Today is day number, I can't even remember,
1002
of lockdown. So basically today we're going to talk about this unit, the unit that it replaces. A little bit of how we even got into being Shark people versus Dyson and all the other fancy vacuums. But at any rate, today's video is going to suck.
Yes, it will. I want to know the story on how you decided that we must have a Shark vacuum.
So, I'm just going to blurt it out there. I saw it on an infomercial. And I did something I've never done in my entire life. I watched the infomercial. And then I went out and searched for the website and ordered it off the freaking website.
And then it arrived and I discovered that is the powered lift away.
The nice thing about the Sharks that we've seen so far is I don't know if it's intentional, but they sort of said, yes, we suck all the stuff out of the air, but crap makes it past, and we put in filters to catch it all. So all of the filters in this thing are easy to get to, easy to replace.
Easy to wash.
And reusable. So that's basically one reason that we also like these better as well.
Moved here, and we needed to buy a second one. Why?
What was one of the first things we did when we moved in here? Ripped out all the carpeting.
Because it was 30-year-old carpeting.
Nasty carpeting. Oh, the Shark, it was great on the carpets, but basically if you went over the floor with it trying to use it as like a dust mop, it just didn't do very well. It left a lot behind. And by this time, Shark came out with something called the Duo Clean system, which basically added these little brushes to the front that are just little fabric brushes that basically act like a little duster. And they work great at getting the very fine little stuff off of your floor, including the dust. It just works so much better. So that's where this one came from. And it has done everything it does that we wanted it to do, with one exception.
And this is a problem with all vacuums, not just Shark.
Yeah, every vacuum out there has had this problem, but my wife was blessed, bless her heart, with thick hair. Like St. Bernard thick hair. And she sheds like one too.
I do.
The main beater brush, hair wraps around it just like all vacuums do. And the Sharks do not have removable brushes, so you can't pull the beater head out to clean it easily. You have to fight with it in the system. It comes with this little canopy, the little convertible top that makes it easier to access, but still it's in there. You have to manually turn it around and pull the hair out.
That would be an excellent feature if you could remove both brushes.
Let's give them a closer view of what it really looks like.
Absolutely.
Like there is just so much hair built into that brush. It's just, the brush is hardly even there. So it's just, yeah. And now I get to have the fun of cleaning it all out, which wouldn't be so bad if I hadn't just gotten through doing it about a month ago. It's like, So, we heard of a new invention. Shark realized that problem, and while they didn't give me my removable brush I wanted, they came up with something that might be a little bit better. And this is the new 0M. Zero maintenance stands for. There are plastic teeth on the convertible cover that are constantly spinning into the bristles of the brush and pulling the hair out. So when you first vacuum up hair, it still gets hair around it, but as it sits there and spins more times, it basically kind of pulls the hair out of the brushes.
We don't know if it works yet.
We don't know if it works yet because we haven't tried it out yet. We just got through assembling it with no sound.
Let's see us assembling this bad boy right now.
So there are 100,000, it seems, different versions of the Shark, and it's nearly impossible to sort of stare and compare at all of them. But we wanted to try to give a little bit of a difference. From what we can tell, when we bought this one, this was the Cadillac. It had the most features of all the ones that were out there. This one appears to now be that equivalent Cadillac version. I wanted to kind of show you what has changed between these and give you an idea of what we like and what we don't like. Well, some things have changed for the better. Some things not so much.
And some things we wish they'd change.
The specs are almost identical. The weights are almost the same. The capacities are almost the same. The overall design and functionality is almost the same. You can really tell it looks like it was just, hey, let's take this vacuum. What can we change based on feedback to make it better? At least better in their mind.
Bottoms up.
So if you look at the bottoms of the units, they are pretty much identical with the exception of the 0M. The 0M adds the functionality that digs the hair out of the wheel. Other than that, they both have the Duo Clean brush. The Duo Clean part of the brush, this front brush, is removable on both models. That does come out for easy cleaning. The other one does not. One thing that has confused me from the very beginning is this little brush right here. If you know what that's for, please comment below and tell me, because I have yet to figure out why both of them have this little tiny little brush.
Like,
it rocks back and forth. That just like a little switch.
It's on both of them.
Both of them have it. Convertible tops on both, so you can pop the lid. Both have 4 LEDs on each side for light when you're vacuuming. The wheels look a little bit different, but other than that, all the dimensions and the build looks almost identical between the two.
The wheels, I mean, they're the same, but they're different.
They're more cool now.
Really? I kind of like that one better.
I like the new ones.
I like the older one. But then again, I don't like change.
This is like scientific-y, and this is like just pimp my ride chrome wheels.
Okay.
One interesting thing on the old model was the crevice wand was a 2-piece thing. It was a crevice wand with this thing that folded up to give you the brush. Now, the reason this sucked is because that's as far down as it went, and you try to go into a crevice, and basically this big old brush hit everything, and it kind of sucked at being a crevice tool because of that. Well, looks like they got rid of it on the new one.
They got rid of the extension, and it is just a crevice tool.
Now, the downside is there is no equivalent tool that comes with it that gives you one of these. So there are times where we actually like this for like cleaning out windows and things where you need just a little bit of scrubbing action. Well, this one does not have a brush that has bristles the way this did.
However, the good news is that pretty sure we can use that crevice tool on this vacuum.
Yeah, and since we're keeping this one, we can still use that one.
All right.
This thing is a little bit of a beast.
It is.
And it's actually a convertible. So this one has, it's the same basic unit, but this one came with this adapter that clicked on the bottom to again give you a brush. So it's basically the same unit, just a little felt tip just for scrubbing surfaces, but with a brush attachment. 2 places to put attachments, yet it came with 3 things. So it came with a hard floor brush. Now, this is not electric. It is one of those ones that has a little squirrel cage fan inside, and the suction air movement makes the brush spin, which means as soon as you put any real friction to it, the torque just isn't there for it to keep going. So the very first Shark we bought came with the motorized brush. So this is 3 Sharks old, and still it basically fits into the very new unit. So
it basically fits, or it just fits?
It does fit. So and this one is not a pet model at all, but basically it fits every Shark from what we can tell.
You wanted to talk about the height difference here.
Yeah, one thing that we missed earlier when we were talking about it, and I'll show it here, you see how the height of this is like right up under your hose? So the attachments on both sides come right up underneath the structure. So when you're pulling off your implements, both of them hit the structure of the vacuum. Pain in the butt getting them off. The new model...
And putting them on.
Yeah, the new model, as you see, they lowered it down. Lots of space. So getting the implements on and off of the new model, definitely a lot easier. The good, the bad, and the ugly. These hoses are, basically they collapse. So they stretch. Well, the vacuum doesn't weigh as much as a big Bertha. So the downside is on both of them, you go and you pull the wand off and you try to pull it somewhere, it's just going to pull your vacuum over. You almost have to kind of like wedge this thing somewhere in order to use the stretched hose. Now this one, you may be able to tell, is very thick in between. So the pieces are very thick, where this one is very thin. I don't know if this is going to be able to stretch easier without pulling the unit over. We may try a little test and see if that is the way. But other than that, they both click off the same way, click back in to hold it, and they basically are very similar in that regard. Both are removable down here at the bottom. The design did sort of change just a little bit. So now this one has like a little bit of a curvature and a gasket.
So what you're saying is that the handles would not be interchangeable. All right. Let's see. Cord length.
We haven't measured like actual measurements. Who knows if the dimensions are exactly the same and how things line up, but it kind of looks like the cord might be a little bit longer on this one.
The cord ends here, and it's wrapped over the top 7 times. And it's kind of a pain that it ends way up there because it's, what do you call it? Like the pivot point, it's might snap off.
It's got more pressure on it.
Yes.
By putting this here, if you want to pull the cord off, plug it in, and then pull your wand off and do a little quick suction job. Can't, because the cord's up there. So every Shark has that problem. So Shark, if you happen to watch this, fix that. I mean, not that you can. The only way would be to basically build a retractable or some other thing into the unit to store the cord. And then that's going to change the design so much that it would probably break everything else. So I don't think there is an easy fix. The handle. Buttons right there. Pop it out. There's your handle. This one, they stuck it on the back. You click it down. Once you click it down, it stays that way. Then you just lift. And you hear it click back out. So,
I did not like
and then you push it back in. So this one you can do it with one hand. Push it down, lift it up. Push it back down, click it into place. This one, you have to hold it. It doesn't...
Oh, does it do the same thing?
It may actually do the same thing. I may have just learned something about our old vacuum I didn't know. One thing that's interesting, it has the 3 settings for carpet height, low, high, and floor, hard surfaces. But what's interesting is, in the old days, the vacuums would like lift the height of the wheels and things like that, so it actually worked differently. I have no bloody idea what changes in a Shark when you move this button.
It's hard floors, then is low carpet, and then is high carpet.
Switching now. This is low carpet. Now high carpet.
So, as you see, the beater brush is what changes from hardwoods to low carpet to high carpet.
Now, both models have the exact same 3 settings. One thing that's interesting, this one is colored. You can easily tell what it is. Well, I assume that these will light up when you do the switch here. But other than that, like I say, it pretty much is the exact same handle. Looks like it has a little bit of a grill, like almost maybe it can vent itself somehow. This has something on the side where that one doesn't, so maybe it's some kind of a venting system. So whatever vent looking thing was here is now on the front. There's 2 types of Shark vacuums, lift away and powered lift away. The lift away does not have wired current connections in the handle units. So what I assume is that the unit itself, when it's sitting on top like this, actually has some kind of a contact point to get the power into the bottom rolling unit, so that it's basically not going through the handle but is directly powering it. And that way when you lift it up, it's no longer powering this bottom. So when it comes to lifting this off to go underneath your couch and things like that, a lift away was not going to give you the motorized brush on your full length wand with the bottom attached. Where the powered lift away, you still have the rotating brushes for going up underneath couches and everything else. The powered lift away has power that goes through the cord, into the handle, down the tube, and into the base. So the motors in the base are actually powered from the main unit all the way through. Know that that is the big difference between lift away and power lift away, is whether or not you have the power in those handles.
Whether you've got power. There's my Back to the Future reference for the day.
One of many, I'm sure. That is what allows you to have an LED light on the handle. Anything that is powered lift away has the capability of having a light, but not every powered lift away model has a light. In this case, they both do have a little LED light. So with the old model, basically you have a button labeled, and this is interesting, the old button is labeled lift away. The new button just says nothing. So there was actually a label on top of this that it may or may not come out in our other video, which said that it was the lift away button, but it's not on there permanently. So if someone doesn't know how to use your vacuum, they're not gonna know. So on the old model, lift away, you grab it, you push the button, and you lift it up. That's all there was. Your hand just naturally fits right here, button. But this one is kind of like twisting around. It's not as comfortable. This one is not as easy. It almost also becomes, I just grab it like this, and then use your other hand to reach over and actually touch the button. So it's give and take. And I guess it also depends on which hand you're using. Maybe it's easier. To me, the old model was a little bit easier to use, but that may be a case of to each his own. It's kind of hard to say. Well, there's two differences that they've sort of changed with removing the dustbin and the lift away. And to be quite honest, I personally, from an ergonomic perspective, like the original better than the new one. On our old model, to remove the bin so that you could clean it and empty it out, there's basically a little handle, little button on each side of the handle. And to grab it and release it, all you do is you basically grab it and you lift those two up at the same time, and your bin comes off. Now with this one, instead of having the thing here, there's a button over here that you actually push to remove the dust cup. So when I put my hand here,
It's too far.
I basically can't reach the button. So now it's become a two-hand job to remove the dustbin, where before I could do it with one hand. Now while we're here, the actual wand unit itself is about the same. Push button, lift. Now before I make a lie out of myself, so this one's kind of like up top. You push it and it clicks, and then you lift and it unclicks. Now I was going to say that one doesn't do that, but let's see if it makes a lie out of it. Let me push the button. Same way, you push it, it clicks, you lift, it unclicks, and it pops right back down. Basically, they both have primary filter.
And you can tell it's been a little while since.
You can tell the one that hasn't been done in a while. They both have a secondary filter, and they both have a HEPA filter on the front. Now, they work a little bit differently. This one, you do the lever and you slide it down to get to your filter. Where the new model, once you pop the thing, it sort of rocks forward and comes off. After that, they're both just a filter module that you can replace.
Now my question is, are they the same filter?
I'm 99% sure, just looking at them, they appear to be the same filter unit.
It fits.
Yep. So the biggest difference is this one, you kind of attach it up front and then you rock your hand down and click it back into place. You have to kind of put it on low and then slide it up into place. So that works a little bit differently. To be honest, either one is, I mean, if you're used to one, you got to get used to the new one, but either one is kind of an equal amount of pain. So, and you don't change those HEPA filters that are in there very often at all. So, not really that big of a deal, but it is a little bit different.
Oh, speaking of hair, man, you can see my hair in the filter.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that the cup didn't catch. That's how much this thing can't catch hair. Essentially, they're the exact same vacuum. I don't remember what we paid for this. I think it was pretty close to what we paid for this. It's basically the same vacuum with the addition of the 0M hair removal, which is the only reason we bought it, because every single month I'm cleaning out that. And it's basically using a seam ripper to get in there and just cut the hair and dig and pull and pluck. And
maybe you should do that on camera, because that would be kind of funny and sad.
I just noticed there's also a little brush thing on the side for kind of getting dust up against your baseboards.
Right, it's there.
Well, it's not there. That's actually a orange strip that goes all the way across the bottom. where that one has the orange strip all the way, but it also goes up the sides. So apparently they have eliminated this little side strip on the newer model. It does not have
It just doesn't.
the side strip. I mean, honestly, did it really get the dirt off the baseboards anyway?
No.
In fact, at one time, I actually looked at buying just the 0M head as a replacement part and putting it on our other unit, but the actual head unit themselves, that actually did change just a little bit, so it wasn't the exact same shape. So I don't think I could put the 0M head, but now that we've actually got it, and then we take this brush off.
You're gonna like.
So we swap them out, and you'll notice that this one angles down, this one angles up. So that's the difference in the heads. So in theory,
So in theory, this will not work.
this will not fit. Yeah, does not fit.
I got this bad boy on sale and 20% off. So Kohl's has this curbside pickup during this pandemic.
And luckily, you don't have to drive a pickup to use it.
I see what you did there. So I placed the order online, I placed it to pick up, and then we drove. Once the email came in, we drove to Kohl's
In my pickup.
in the pickup for the curbside pickup. And then, I mean, not too long later, it really didn't take long at all. This,
Yeah, like less than 5 minutes.
this little guy comes out with the vacuum on his shoulder,
What are you,
like,
like smiling like a banjo?
oh
Like,
yeah, like, he was one happy feller. All right. Anyway, time will tell whether we like this one or not. Some of the features of the
Yeah,
new
I mean,
one.
honestly, it's basically the exact same vac with this one extra
0M.
feature. And it appears to work unless you have like a St. Bernard died under your couch and you're trying to vacuum the whole thing up at one time. Which is pretty close to what we've got. So we'll see if it can handle her head or not.
All right, we done?
We're done.
Adios.
We were done 30 minutes ago. We just didn't know.
You sure?
Sure.
Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye.
It was some plush. Like 30 years ago,
It was-
that 30 years ago, that was pimp carpeting. I mean, that was some plush carpeting. So, long story short, Dyson was smart. I meant,
Dyson. Shark.
top shouldn't matter either. The cable, it's sticking in front of the lens, but we don't care today.
You shouldn't be recording any sound, right?
Well, no, we're using the built-in microphone because I got it unplugged right there.
This is an AZ1002. I know it's not really how I would normally speak, but let's see. Look at all this hair. Look at all this hair. Look at all this hair in there. The AZ1002 is awesome. It has zero maintenance roller beater brush that supposedly won't catch all of my hair in it. What you think, Bob?
Lies, all lies.
My name's Alexa, and here's Billy Bob.
And she has corrected me that I was wrong in my thinking, because I'm always wrong. But I think she's right that I was wrong. The Dyson Ball DC-12, which was one of the original early models of Dyson, so it was a beast. It was heavy.
I hear buzzing. You need to go check that.